You were the first, the best. But now you're a cliché and you don't fit in anymore. Mad scientists, idiots in underwear, bank robbers, knock yourself out with that lot. But the real work, fixing the world, is ours.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of Comic Run Talk, and today we're talking about Black Dawn. So, I was a bit of a loss here as to figure out where to go with the next chapter for this Superman Action Comics run, because it felt like we should go to Action Comics next, but the events here almost feel like they lead to Action Comics. And with what's been going on with Jon Kent now, it feels like this story is sort of more relevant. Anyway, Black Dawn is possibly my least favorite story here, but it does a great job, I think, of paying off the bigger story going on in the book. We talked before how in Superman Reborn that Action Comics deals with the continuity of the DC universe, and in the Superman book, the focus is more on Jon and his relationship with his family, as well as his future, which in DC now is kind of... We'll see. So anyway, Black Dawn really starts off with the arrival of Batman and Robin and Hamilton, and it looks like this sound has to play.
Today, Scooby-Doo meets Batman and Robin.
And so as everyone sits awkwardly as Lois serves pie and coffee at the table and finding out that Batman doesn't eat pie, we get down to business. So Batman says that the tests they ran back in the Super Son story were inconclusive. We know his protein and enzyme levels are high due to his powers growing, and he hasn't developed any new abilities since then. For example, he still can't fly. Batman says that biologically there's nothing wrong with him. He may even be too healthy. And that his power centers should have come full circle by now. He should even be more powerful than Superman on his best day, but for some reason he isn't. This leads to Batman suspecting something is going on with his environment. Superman says that he's checked and scanned the entire town, sort of standing in as the overprotective dad he is. Batman points out how dangerous a potential threat Jon's powers are, and that Superman is too close to see it. Superman points out that this is classic Bruce in a nutshell, and that he's so negative, and that the world is more than just black and white, and that in the face of the darkness in the world, we just need to shine brighter. And it's interesting because this is sort of a new Superman and Batman if you think about the events of Superman Reborn. Remember, the continuity has changed, but it seems to not fully have changed, as Lois is getting mail to Lois Lane Kent. It's weird. Bruce decides to leave the issue with itself and moves on to the food and asks what Jon eats, to which Lois says just normal food. There isn't a lot of fast food in Hamilton. Most of it's all organic grocery store items, dairy, protein, produce, and that Jon's friend Kathy even brings fresh milk from her grandfather's dairy. And hearing that, Batman just sort of goes, "Tell me about the dairy, man." And he goes to investigate the Cobb family dairy, and upon finding Bessie, which I've never known a cow that's named Bessie in real life. But anyway, he tries to get milk from it and is met by the symbiote? Like, is this a symbiote? And yeah, it just gets weird. And then we skip to the next morning and we find out that no one knows where Batman is, so after getting milk from Kathy and her grandfather, kinda sus, Jon and Damon go with Superman to look for Batman, and it's kind of hilarious seeing Damon trying to look all dignified as he rides on Superman's back. Then an octopus attacks the pier, and this is the same octopus from the first issue of this comic. And what's interesting about the issue here is exactly what happens. Jon kills it with his heat vision, and while Superman himself just wanted to subdue the creature and move it somewhere else, the public goes out of their way to say that Jon did what Superman should have done. Jon and Clark have a talk about it, with Jon saying that maybe they should do more, they should go a bit further, but Clark says that one day he's going to have to choose what he does with his fear, and right or wrong, Jon's choices will change people's lives and the world, and that will change him. And after hearing that Jon and Kathy did go to Dead Man's Swamp when Clark told them not to, Jon's like, you know what? Clark goes like, you know what? Since you seem very clear on disobeying me, you don't need to go with me, so you just go home. And they are greeted by Kathy, who just mollywops them with all of a sudden psychic powers, which I'm just like,
What? What the fuck?
Yeah, so Kathy tells Jon that he needs to calm down, or he won't let him use his powers, and that he'll keep him safe until he's ready. Now, this is where it gets even crazier, like I promise you. So, Lois goes to investigate on her own after seeing the tree where Goldie was buried burning, kind of scarily. She even sees her friend Candace walking around, even though she'd heard and seen that Candace had been critically injured. And while following her, she ends up in a secret monitoring room that has been watching her and her family the whole time. Lois runs home to call the Justice League, only to be met by what looks like the cast of Pleasantville. Like this feels like some Tim Burton Edward Scissorhands. Like, Suburbia is the real villain here. Thankfully, Lois still has her Hellbat gauntlet, which helps her drive the Batmobile away, and things look good until she gets met by Cobb, who dismantles the Batmobile with his psychic powers, while at the same time, Superman finds Batman and the others in capsules underground. Cobb tells Lois that they've been preparing Jon for this, and Lois screams, which Superman hears, and he shows up to save her from the ground in epic kaboom moments. And I want to point out how awesome this looks. Superman fighting essentially an evil version of Pa Kent. Jon, meanwhile, is somewhere else strapped to a chair and watching everything unfold on screen. A voice tells him that he is here to watch the most important thing, the failure of Superman. Superman and Cobb's throne is interrupted by a monster, so Jon subdues Cobb, like, you know what, just stay here, wraps him up, and leaves to go save the people, and Lois's leg is cut off, and everything just sort of stops and falls apart as Jon watches as his father uses heat vision to cauterize her leg, and as he tries to look away, someone forces him to keep looking. He tells him that desperate times call for desperate measures, and that Superman would never see things his way, and that black is black and white is white, and that there is only the innocent and the guilty. And it is revealed that this person is Manchester Black, and he's here to bring the world a new kind of Superman. So we found out that Manchester Black saved a bunch of refugees in space, and they have become, they're the actual citizens of Hamilton. We find out that their ship has a rift in it that Manchester Black's powers have been sealing, and without those powers, the ship would collapse in a singularity. Cobb says regardless of what Manchester Black is doing, he's been making things worse for them in Hamilton, and he demands that he speak to Black. In other words, he's not comfortable with this anymore. Superman drops Lois off at the hospital, and he's kind of done with the cute nature. Like, his son is missing, this town has been attacked, this town's keeping secrets, he's had to cauterize his wife's leg. No, kid gloves are off now. He just starts lifting buildings like, okay, so I know it's down here. I'm going to find Jon. And then he's met by Jon. And Jon is in tears over what's been happening. And I can only imagine how terrible that would be to be forced to watch your mother in that kind of pain. But fortunately, or unfortunately, Jon isn't alone. Manchester Black is with him. And these two meet again for the first time. And it's interesting because we wouldn't have seen Superman, as far as we knew before Superman Reborn, hadn't seen Manchester Black since he ended up in Convergence. So, not since he'd left the pre-Flashpoint continuity, ended up in New 52, there'd been no Manchester Black. So now everything is right. So, where do you think, whatever, this is the first time they've actually met in years from a reader standpoint. Anyway, Black reveals that this whole thing has been to turn Jon into a newer, better Superman who is willing to do what is necessary. And he offers Jon the opportunity to do things differently. Not the way his dad does, where, there's accidents, innocent people get hurt. We're just going to deal with it at the source. No second chances for bad guys. And that Jon and Superman would be elite. Something is coming, and Superman doesn't have what it takes to do what is necessary, but Jon refuses. Fortunately, Black is kind of done being what he calls gentle, steering Jon in this direction, giving him challenges, using his mental powers to suppress Jon's powers. He's done with the subtle manipulation, so he just takes control of Jon, and a fight ensues with a freed Batman, Robin, the Frankensteins, who've sort of been all over this book, but not in a way that really mattered to a bigger story. A possessed Jon flies off after Superman, and Superman laments that he had always dreamed of flying with Jon, but not like this. Not like this! And as the battle ensues, Batman tells Superman that Jon is somewhere in there, like he's been holding back, like his punches have been connecting. And they need to sort of reach that part to win, but the quantum reactor is also becoming more unstable, and Jon, more than likely because of his connection with Black now, he sees worlds beyond worlds, other timelines. It all seems lost until Lois shows up. Somehow, I think I missed the part where she showed up, but she shows up with legs and reveals to us that she never lost her leg and that it was Manchester Black lying to even us, the reader. And that does sort of help Jon calm down a bit, because I think the big trigger was seeing his mom hurt and hearing her cry like that. So with the help of Cobb, Kathy, and Superman, Jon is able to push back against Manchester Black, and that man goes into shock. It's like there's some responses to like light, but otherwise like that brain shut down. So yeah, the refugees of Hamilton go back to their lives in Hamilton. They apologize to Superman for being part of it all, and Superman just sort of like, he doesn't want to forgive them, but it's the right thing to do and the best way to move forward. So he's like, all right. So Jon and Kathy fly off, and Clark and Lois kiss, and it's all happy and cheesy, and yeah. So one of the reasons I chose this part to talk about was because of what's happening with Jon now. So after the events under Tomasi and Dan Jurgens, Brian Michael Bendis comes in, and he makes some changes to the Superman dynamic. Namely, he ages up Jon, and yeah, so Jon's like 17 now when he's about 12. And that's under Bendis. And under Philip Kennedy Johnson, Superman's going off to Warworld to deal with Mongol. And Jon is the current Superman of Earth. And this is a story written by Tom Taylor. And we see what kind of Superman Jon is trying to be. And that's, well, time will tell. He wants to do more than his dad did. And I kind of think that is in part what he saw while he was away, and also his experience with Manchester Black and the case that Black made. Whether or not Jon wants to admit it or not, he has been affected by what Manchester Black has done. And this story itself it's sort of similar to Superman Reborn, because it sort of hits the same beats if you think about it. An old enemy returns. Jon is taken off the grid for a bit. Superman is sort of pushed to his limit. The difference is, though, Superman Reborn is taken because it's about punishing Superman. Here is about punishing Superman, and Jon is the one that helps save the day. Here, the objective is Jon, and separating Jon from his parents is sort of a way to sort of influence Jon in a way, make him this different kind of Superman that Manchester Black has always wanted Superman to be. Like, the Boy Scout is outdated in Manchester Black's mind. Like, there's greater evils out there that won't learn their lesson with just a slap on the wrist. Manchester Black here takes the role of Captain Hook from the movie Hook, and Jon is Jack. The difference is, though, Jack in Captain Hook, and Jack in Hook makes a choice, and then he makes a different choice. Jon here doesn't really get to make a choice. Like, he poses the question. His dad says, there's going to be a time when you have to make that choice, and you need to think carefully about when you do. Manchester Black goes, well, no, this is the right choice. I need you to make this choice. But Jon never gets to make the choice. All he really wants is for his mom to be okay. That's the whole thing. And I like the atmosphere of this story more than the actual story itself. Like, it's very dark. There are secrets that have been building up slowly in the background of this book that I didn't get to talk about. And also, just for example, the Frankenstein. Like, Frankenstein and his bride, they were, as by default, they were married. But in this story here, they're divorced because, well, she killed their son because he'd been turned into a monster, and he asked her to kill him. Like, his last lucid moment was for her to kill him, and Frankenstein's never forgiven her for it, or he's not ready to move past that. And you see that sort of like what could have happened here. Like, Superman or Lois could have been forced to kill Jon, and they wouldn't have survived it as a couple. They wouldn't. Overall, though, this is another great story from Tomasi. Not to my taste exactly, more than likely because we already sort of saw this in Superman Reborn, but that wasn't so much a Superman Tomasi story as so much of it was a DC Superman action comic story dealing with the greatest issues of the DC universe. So yeah, what'd you think of the story? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you like seeing Manchester Black again? He's one of the characters I know the least about, and I just don't care about because he sounds like a worse version of Constantine. Like, have those two met? I want to see those two Brits meet. Anyway, let's bring this video to close here. If you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.